Groundhog Day. It's a day for quirky traditions and hopeful anticipation. At the heart of it all is Punxsutawney Phil, a groundhog with a rather unusual job. Every February 2nd, Phil emerges from his burrow in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. A large crowd gathers, eager to hear his weather prediction. You see, if Phil sees his shadow, it means 6 more weeks of winter. But if the day is cloudy and shadowless, spring is just around the corner. Now I know what you're thinking. A groundhog predicting the weather? It sounds a bit far-fetched, doesn't it? But that's the beauty of traditions. They embrace the unusual and add a touch of whimsy to our lives. Phil may not be a meteorologist, but he's become a beloved symbol of this quirky holiday. Whether you believe in his forecasting abilities or not, there's no denying that Punxsutawney Phil is one charming rodent. So, how did a groundhog become the arbiter of winter's end? The answer lies in a fascinating blend of folklore and ancient traditions. You see, the idea of animals predicting the weather has been around for centuries. Long before meteorologists and weather satellites, people looked to nature for clues about the changing seasons. Groundhog Day itself has roots in Candlemas, a Christian holiday celebrated on February 2nd. Europeans believed that a sunny Candlemas meant a longer winter. They even had a saying, "If Candlemas Day be fair and bright, winter will have another flight." But instead of groundhogs, they looked to hedgehogs and other hibernating animals for their weather cues. When German immigrants arrived in Pennsylvania, they brought their Candlemas traditions with them. They found an abundance of groundhogs, which reminded them of the hedgehogs back home. And so, the groundhog replaced the hedgehog, and a new American tradition was born. The first official Groundhog Day celebration in Punxsutawney was held on February 2nd, 1887. The event was a hit, drawing crowds eager to witness Phil's prediction. Over the years, Punxsutawney Phil became a national sensation, his predictions covered by newspapers and radio broadcasts across the country. Today, Groundhog Day is a beloved tradition celebrated not just in Punxsutawney, but across the United States and even in parts of Canada. It's a day to embrace the fun of folklore, to celebrate the quirky, and to hope for an early spring. And of course, no Groundhog Day celebration would be complete without the star of the show, Punxsutawney Phil, the prognosticator of all things spring. Now, let's talk about the science behind Phil's predictions, or rather, the lack thereof. Meteorologists, those folks with their fancy weather maps and satellite imagery, will tell you that a groundhog's shadow has about as much predictive power as flipping a coin. And they're right, of course. Weather forecasting is a complex science, relying on data, models, and a whole lot of complicated calculations. But here's the thing about traditions. They don't always have to be scientifically accurate to be meaningful. Groundhog Day isn't about precise meteorological predictions. It's about celebrating the change of seasons, the anticipation of spring, and the enduring power of folklore. So, while Phil's predictions might not be scientifically sound, they add a touch of whimsy and fun to our lives. And sometimes that's just what we need. Phil's scorecard hits, misses, and controversies. Over the years, Punxsutawney Phil's predictions have been met with a mix of amusement, skepticism, and even a bit of controversy. Phil's supporters will proudly point to the years when his predictions were spot on, claiming it as proof of his weather-whispering abilities. His detractors, however, are quick to highlight the years when Phil got it wrong, when his prediction of an early spring was followed by weeks of snow and freezing temperatures. There have even been accusations of fixing the predictions, with some whispering that Phil's handlers influence his shadow-seeing abilities. But whether he's right or wrong, Phil's predictions always spark conversation and add a bit of excitement to the day. And isn't that what traditions are all about? The nation awaits Phil's prophecy and public sentiment. Every year, millions eagerly await Punxsutawney Phil's prediction. Will he see his shadow? Will he predict 6 more weeks of winter? Or will he offer the hope of an early spring? The anticipation is palpable, and the nation holds its breath as Phil emerges from his burrow. The public's reaction to Phil's predictions is always a mix of emotions. Those hoping for an early spring rejoice when Phil predicts a shadowless day. They embrace the promise of warmer days and shed their winter weariness. But when Phil predicts 6 more weeks of winter, there's a collective groan across the land. People lament the thought of enduring more snow, ice, and freezing temperatures. But even then, there's a sense of camaraderie and shared disappointment. 6 more weeks of winter, 2023 and beyond, As I sit here writing this, the memory of Groundhog Day 2023 is still fresh in my mind. I remember the anticipation, the excitement, and the collective gasp of the crowd as Punxsutawney Phil emerged from his burrow, and then the announcement 6 more weeks of winter. Now, I won't lie, I was hoping for a different outcome. An early spring sounded mighty fine to me, but as a wise person once said, that's life for you. We don't always get what we want, even when it comes to groundhog-based weather predictions. Phil's legacy, a quirky harbinger of hope. Punxsutawney. Phil may be a groundhog with an unusual job, but his impact on our culture is undeniable. He's a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest depths of winter, spring is on its way. He's a testament to the enduring power of folklore and the joy we find in celebrating the quirky traditions that make life interesting. So the next time February 2nd rolls around, take a moment to appreciate Punxsutawney Phil and the unique tradition he represents. Whether you believe in his predictions or not, there's no denying that Phil brings a smile to our faces and reminds us that spring is always just around the corner. Join the Groundhog Day conversation. Now that you know a bit more about Punxsutawney Phil and the tradition of Groundhog Day, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe in Phil's predictions? In the comments below, put your prediction for this year. What are your favorite Groundhog Day traditions? Share your stories, predictions for 2025 and beyond, and thoughts on this quirky and beloved holiday. After all, a good conversation is just as much a part of Groundhog Day as a weather-predicting rodent. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, and please share to be notified of a new upload. As always, until next time, stay curious.